In a small African village, there lived a boy named Kofi. He was known for his kindness and willingness to help others. The village was a close-knit community where everyone looked out for one another. Life was simple but fulfilling. One year, the rains did not come as expected. The sun blazed down relentlessly, and the once lush fields turned dry and barren. The rivers and streams that provided water to the village began to dry up. The villagers grew worried as their crops withered and their livestock suffered from thirst. Kofi watched as his friends and family struggled to find enough water to drink and keep their animals alive. The village elders gathered to discuss the dire situation. They spoke of a time long ago when a similar drought had threatened their ancestors. According to legend, there was a magical lake hidden deep within the jungle, a lake with water so pure and powerful that it could save the village from any drought. Inspired by the stories of the elders, Kofi decided that he would find this magical lake and bring back its water to save his village. With determination in his heart and a small clay jug in his hand, Kofi set out on his journey, hoping to bring relief to his beloved village. As Kofi embarked on his journey, he couldn't help but recall the stories the village elders had shared about the magical lake. According to the legend, the lake was hidden deep within the dense jungle, far beyond the savannah. Its waters were said to be crystal clear and imbued with mystical properties that could heal and rejuvenate. The elders spoke of a time long ago when a great drought had threatened the village. In their desperation, the villagers had sent a brave young warrior to find the lake. After many trials and tribulations, the warrior had returned with a jug of the magical water, which had saved the village from certain doom. The story had been passed down through generations, a beacon of hope in times of hardship. Kofi's heart swelled with determination as he thought about the legend. He knew that finding the lake would not be easy, but he was willing to face any challenge to save his village. With each step he took, he felt a growing sense of purpose and resolve. As he ventured deeper into the savannah, Kofi encountered various animals and natural wonders. He marveled at the beauty of the land, even in its parched state. The journey was long and arduous, but Kofi's spirit remained unbroken. He knew that the fate of his village rested on his shoulders, and he was determined to succeed. Kofi set out on his journey with a heart full of hope and determination. The vast savannah stretched out before him, a sea of golden grass swaying gently in the breeze. The sun beat down relentlessly, but Kofi pressed on, knowing that the fate of his village depended on his success. As he walked, Kofi encountered various animals that called the savannah home. He marveled at the grace of the gazelles as they leaped through the tall grass and admired the strength of the elephants as they moved in a majestic herd. Each encounter filled him with awe and reminded him of the beauty and resilience of the land. Despite the harsh conditions, Kofi's spirit remained unbroken. He found solace in the songs of the birds and the rustling of the leaves. The journey was long and arduous, but Kofi's determination never wavered. He knew that every step brought him closer to the magical lake and the salvation of his village. One evening, as the sun began to set, Kofi came across a small waterhole. He knelt down to drink and felt a renewed sense of energy. The journey had been challenging, but Kofi knew that he was on the right path. With the stars as his guide, he continued his trek through the savannah, determined to find the magical lake and bring its life-saving water back to his village. As Kofi ventured deeper into the jungle, the landscape around him began to change. The tall grasses of the savannah gave way to dense foliage and towering trees. The air was thick with humidity, and the sounds of the jungle filled his ears. The calls of exotic birds, the rustling of leaves, and the distant roar of a waterfall. Navigating through the jungle was no easy task. The thick underbrush and tangled vines made progress slow and challenging. But Kofi's determination never wavered. He knew that the magical lake lay somewhere within this vast, mysterious jungle, and he was determined to find it. One day, as Kofi was making his way through a particularly dense part of the jungle, he stumbled upon an ancient, moss-covered statue. The statue depicted a wise old man holding a staff, and at its base there was an inscription in a language Kofi couldn't understand. Intrigued, Kofi examined the statue closely and noticed a small, hidden compartment. Inside, he found a beautifully crafted amulet. As soon as Kofi touched the amulet, he felt a surge of energy course through his body. The amulet seemed to guide him, showing him the safest paths and helping him avoid dangerous obstacles. With the amulet's help, Kofi's journey through the jungle became a little easier. Days turned into weeks as Kofi continued his quest. He faced many challenges along the way: treacherous rivers, wild animals, and dense thickets. But with the amulet's guidance and his unwavering determination, Kofi pressed on. He knew that the magical lake was close, and he was determined to bring its life-saving water back to his village. After weeks of navigating through the dense jungle, Kofi finally reached a clearing. In the center of the clearing, he saw a sight that took his breath away: the magical lake. The water was crystal clear, shimmering under the sunlight that filtered through the canopy above. The air around the lake felt cooler and fresher, and a sense of peace washed over Kofi. Kofi approached the lake with reverence, feeling the weight of the journey he had undertaken. He knelt by the water's edge and dipped his clay jug into the lake. As he did so, he noticed that the water seemed to glow with a soft, ethereal light. He filled his jug and took a sip, feeling an immediate surge of energy and vitality. With the jug filled with the magical water, Kofi knew it was time to return to his village. He carefully secured the jug and took a moment to thank the lake for its gift. As he turned to leave, he felt a sense of accomplishment and hope. He knew that the water he carried would bring relief and salvation to his village. The journey back through the jungle was still challenging, but Kofi felt a renewed sense of purpose. The amulet continued to guide him, and he moved with a newfound confidence. He knew that every step brought him closer to his village and the people he loved. With the jug of magical water securely in his hands, Kofi began his journey back to the village. The path through the jungle seemed less daunting now, as if the amulet and the lake's blessing were guiding his every step. He moved swiftly, driven by the thought of bringing relief to his family and friends. As Kofi emerged from the jungle and stepped onto the savannah, he felt a surge of excitement. The familiar landscape filled him with a sense of homecoming. He knew that his village was not far away, and he quickened his pace, eager to share the precious water with his people. When Kofi finally reached the village, he was greeted with cheers and tears of joy. The villagers had been anxiously awaiting his return, and their faces lit up with hope as they saw the jug of water in his hands. Kofi wasted no time and began distributing the magical water to everyone. As the villagers drank the water, they felt an immediate change. Their strength returned, their spirits lifted, and the effects of the drought seemed to fade away. The crops began to show signs of life, and the animals regained their vitality. The village was filled with a renewed sense of hope and gratitude. Kofi's selfless act of bringing the magical water back to the village had saved them from the brink of disaster. The villagers celebrated Kofi's bravery and kindness, and he became a hero in their eyes. They knew that it was his determination and love for his people that had brought them through the difficult times. The village was alive with celebration. The once parched land now showed signs of revival, and the villagers' spirits were lifted. They gathered in the central square to honor Kofi, the boy whose bravery and selflessness had saved them all. The village elders stood before the crowd, their faces beaming with pride. One of the elders stepped forward and raised his hands to quiet the crowd. Today, we celebrate not only the return of water to our land, but also the courage and kindness of young Kofi, he began. His journey to the magical lake and his willingness to share its precious water with all of us have shown us the true meaning of heroism. The villagers cheered and clapped, their hearts filled with gratitude. Kofi stood humbly before them, feeling a deep sense of fulfillment. He had set out on his journey with the hope of saving his village, and now he saw the fruits of his labor in the smiles and laughter of his people. As the celebration continued, the villagers shared stories of Kofi's bravery and the magical lake. They spoke of how the water had brought life back to their crops and strength to their bodies. The legend of the magical lake and Kofi's heroic journey would be passed down through generations, a testament to the power of determination and selflessness. Kofi's heart swelled with pride as he looked around at his friends and family. He knew that the true magic lay not just in the water, but in the love and unity of his village. From that day forward, Kofi was not just a boy from the village. He was a symbol of hope and resilience, a hero whose story would inspire many.